This is why you should always keep pictures of your parents. A little girl named Olivia who lived a very quiet life decided to check her homework assignments that were posted online. The teacher posted that they needed to write down their favorite memory with their family as well as bring a photograph. Olivia then writes about how her and her mom play dolls every night in the basement before bed and that she has a lot of fun doing so. She finishes her paragraph and then looks in her dad's drawer for a photograph of mom. She only found pictures of her mom from high school but decided to use it anyway. Olivia goes to bed and wakes up the next morning. Once she arrives at school, the teacher then says, "Let's start presenting our project." Then the teacher called Olivia's name to present. Olivia then begins to read about how her and her mom play dolls every night and then pulls out the photograph. As soon as Olivia pulled out the photograph, her teacher's face goes numb. She then asks Olivia if she can take a closer look at the photograph. She then recognized her mom as one of her previous students. Then the teacher asks, "Where did you get this photo?" Olivia says, "My dad keeps them in his drawer." The teacher, shocked, sits down Olivia and pulls out an old newspaper. The newspaper headline, "Local high school teen murdered, boyfriend gone missing." The teacher then looks at Olivia and says, "Your mom has been dead for 14 years.
If you're ever walking and hear a sound behind you, look up, for it might be the Gashadokuru. The Gashadokuru are skeleton giants who walk around in the middle of the night. If they see a human, they will quietly walk up behind them, bite off their head, and drink their spraying blood. Soldiers that die on the field and people that die of starvation usually do not have their final rites read. In Japanese culture, that means that their soul cannot pass on and they're reborn as a hungry ghost. When the bones of hundreds of those souls gather together, they become the skeleton monster known as Gashadokuru. If you're a fan of monsters, scary stories, and lore, please support this channel. Thank you guys.
If you ever find yourself in this situation, don't do what she did. It all began in 2005 when a group of cave divers wanted to film a documentary in the most dangerous cave in the world. A few hours into their descent, a huge storm erupted, causing the main entrance to the cave to collapse. In order to avoid the huge falling rocks coming from the ceiling, they were forced to swim through an unexplored part of the cave. After diving for over an hour, they came across an island and decided to set up camp until the rescuers could get to them. After 2 days of being trapped in the cave, the cameraman decided to start filming in case they don't make it out of there. At the same time, one of their crew members does something very stupid.
Tunnels, take your pick! Oh, fuck it! Hello! Please! Is there anybody there? Hello!
If you or your family have one of these bumper stickers in your car right now, I suggest you go and rip it off. Now, if you don't already know, these beloved stickers are a red flag to pedophiles to know exactly who's in your family. In a case not too long ago, a mother was driving home from her soccer game with her 6-year-old daughter. They'd stopped in a service station to pour petrol, and as they did, a car quietly pulled in behind them. The man could quickly see that there was just a young mother and her daughter, and from the back of the van, she could tell there was no husband, 2 other kids and a dog. The cameras then catch her car leaving and heading out onto the road, followed quickly by the man in the car. The very next night, a family member found their house wide open. The family dog was laying dead in the hallway. It had been given some meat with poison in it. The mother was suddenly woken, but she had been asleep for more than 16 hours. Later discovered she was injected with the drug to put her to sleep, and her oldest daughter was missing, along with her 4 and 6-year-old daughters too. It's believed they were taken for human trafficking, so beware and remove those stickers.
Okay, sir, what's the location of the body? In the middle of nowhere. Perfect place. Just look for a truck. In a corner. Are you with the deceased now, sir? I am the deceased. Excuse me?
I'm gonna tell you a scary story right where it happened. I have dealt with ghosts my whole life, hence the name. When I was in grade 12, I had the weirdest thing happen to me right here. These are Piddock trails, and it's also the home to some pretty weird stuff. When I was in grade 12, I was walking down here with my big headphones on because those were super cool then. There was a tap on my shoulder and I turned around. There was a teenage boy with like long, dirty blonde hair and a Metallica t-shirt. It was kind of bleached out. It looked pretty cool. He tapped me and he asked, "Hey, how do I get to Inner Kip Bridge?" I pointed, "You go straight." That's not the weird part. I put my headphones on and kept walking. 3 more times he tapped me on the shoulder and asked me this same question. On about the 5th time, I turned around and I said, "Hey, you go to Inner Kip Bridge." And he disappeared. Out of thin air. It rubbed me the weird way. I was like, hey, this couldn't be right. This couldn't be real, right? After a lot of research and reaching out to a lot of people, I found a picture of the boy. He died down here. That night, on his way to Inner Kip Bridge. He's residually haunting this place, I guess, forever.
Pictures taken right before death. First, we have this 18-year-old girl who wanted to get the most extreme selfie, so she climbed up a bridge which was about 30 feet high. and then she fell off, but it wasn't the fall that killed her. It was on her way down, she grabbed some electrical wires and they electrocuted her. This picture was actually taken by a guy who was just testing out the new camera that he got, and it shows this 14-year-old boy literally flying out of a plane. It turns out he was hidden in the plane wheels, and during takeoff he somehow fell out and it was caught on camera. This looks like your typical best friend picture before a night out, right? Except the night would end in disaster, with one of them using the belt she was wearing to strangle the other, and she then blamed it on being intoxicated and said she couldn't remember anything of the night anyways.
Located in a cemetery in Vermont, there is a grave with a window to peek inside. This grave belonged to a man named Timothy Clark Smith. Timothy had a fear of being buried alive. This may seem like an irrational fear, but it was actually more common than people realize. Timothy patented a design for his own gravesite. Not only did he include a window on his tombstone, he also built a contraption that included a bell. In the case that Timothy woke up underneath the ground, he could pull a string and ring the bell to signal for help. Timothy passed away on Halloween in 1893, and he never needed to use the bell. The window to his grave is still there, although the visibility to see inside of it is very low after the years. But I can't imagine being a gravekeeper, hearing a bell ringing in the middle of the night, knowing that you are the only one there.
This old lady killed so many people. Baba Anushka, she loved chemistry. And when her husband died, she was like, I'm gonna make the house into a laboratory and sell potions. So a bunch of girls came to her and they were like, we don't want our husbands to go to war. And she was like, I can make them really, really sick so they don't have to. And they were like, yeah, do that. So she started getting really, really popular. But then all the girls were like, we actually don't like our husbands. Can you do a little more? And Baba Anushka was like, yeah, I can kill them. So then all the girls were like, oh, we like this. So Baba Anushka made these deadly potions, gave them to the girls gave them to their abusive husbands, and they were dead in like 8 days. And Baba Anushka would do this thing where she'd ask the girls, how heavy is the problem? Which was code for, how heavy is your husband? Because I gotta make sure I put enough in it, mama. She was so successful that she hired a sales agent to go into town and like sniff out people with marital problems. But this one girl fucked it all up. After she killed her shitty husband, she used another potion to kill her new husband's rich uncle. And the police were like, can you explain this? And she was like, it was Baba Anushka. Baba Anushka was like, are you fucking kidding me? But she ended up getting out of jail and then living to 100.